Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's 5 o'clock, and we'd like to begin our last Committee of Adjustment meeting for 2019. For everyone's information, we generally deal with each application according to the order of the agenda. Extra copies of the agenda are on the back table there. Anyone present who wishes to speak in support or against an application, as well as anyone with questions or concerns, will have an opportunity to speak. The committee will make their decision following each application. If anyone present who is not an applicant or an agent but is interested in the decision of the committee, you may fill out one of the forms attached to the clipboard on the back table and file it with our Secretary Treasurer, Sherry Mott. Please list the file number and your full name and mailing address. Copies of the decisions are automatically sent to the applicant and agent within 15 days of the meeting. In order to be kept advised of a possible appeal of the local planning appeal tribunal, you must request that you be sent a copy of the committee's decision on the application. The decisions are final if there are no appeals 20 days after the committee's decision. May I remind everyone that we are being recorded and to turn off your cell phones or silent, and turn off the microphone when you're finished. The first order of business is to determine if any members of the committee have disclosures of pecuniary interest. Being none. All the members have received the minutes of the previous meeting. Are there any errors or omissions? No? If not, I have a resolution before me moved by Rudy, seconded by Marcel, and resolved that the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting held Wednesday, November the 20th, 2019 be adopted and circulated. All in favor? So our first application to be considered is file number BNPL 2019306. Stephanie Rowe is the applicant or agent in attendance. Okay. And this is for a severance. And will the planner give the report?
This is an application by the Rose to create a lot in the urban area of Waterford. This application was deferred to allow the applicant and perhaps the lawyer to discuss servicing requirements with Public Works. Because the services aren't available to the lot, they have to be extended from one of the roads. So I discussed a condition with the Public Works Development Engineering and notified the lawyer that the condition to be provided in the conditions of approval would be that the applicant apply for a holding bylaw, so a holding can be placed on the property pending the extension of the municipal services, which basically gives the applicant the severance and 1 year to apply for a holding bylaw, and the holding would be placed on the property until such time as the interim control bylaw regarding wrong urban area. The holding bylaw would be on there until the applicant decides to extend the services to the property to service the severance. Once the applicant has extended the services, the holding bylaw would be removed.
Just a question to clarify the point on the holding provision. When the applicant comes forward and wants to have the holding provision lifted, is there an additional fee for this activity?
There's no fee for the initial application, but there will be a fee for the removal.
Okay. Would the applicant like to provide any additional information? No? Is there anyone present that wishes to speak in favor of the application? Is there anyone present that wishes to speak in opposition or in general to the application? Being none, are there any additional comments that you'd like to make? No?
That'd be fine.
Okay. I'm sorry? Okay. Okay. Any further comments from committee members? Is there a motion from the committee? Dennis?
Move to accept and pass.
Seconder? Adam? So file number BNPL 201-9306 in the name of Stephanie Rowe. The application is consistent with Provincial Policy Statement 2014 and conforms to the consent policies of the Norfolk County Official Plan, and no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All those in favor? That's carried. Oh, hang on. Next up is file number BNPL 201-9288 in the name of Eric and Tiffany Cheney, sorry. And this application is a severance. Is the agent or applicant in attendance? Okay. And will the planner give the report?
This is an application to sever a house made surplus to a farm operation, and the application was deferred. It was deferred to allow the applicant to discuss with the building department the separation distance required through the Ontario Building Code between a building and a proposed lot line. What happened was I discussed this with the building department, and they have said that what we can do is we can approve the application, but they notified the applicant to make sure that they're aware that if in the event any changes occur to the existing building that's right now not in compliance with the Ontario Building Code, they would have to make sure that the building does comply with the Ontario Building Code before a building permit would be issued. So at the present time, you can approve the application, and it'll be up to the applicant to satisfy the building department if in the event they ever want to do anything to that building.
Okay. Does the committee have any questions of the planner? Would you like to, do you have anything to, no, it's pretty straightforward, you understand everything that's, okay. Are there, is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? No? Any other comments from the committee members? Is there a motion from the committee? Marcel? Rudy? So file BNPL 201-9288 in the name of Eric and Tiffany Cheney, I'm sorry. The hardest part of the job is the names. That the application is consistent with the Provincial Policy Statement 2014 and conforms to the content of the Norfolk County Official Plan, and that no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, next up is file number BNPL 2019339 in the name of Diane Kelly and Brian Culp. Is the applicant or agent in attendance? Okay. This is a severance. Okay. Sorry? Boundary adjustment, sorry. And the planner can give the report.
So this is a boundary adjustment application in the geographic township of Woodhouse. The subject lands are 1.56 acres in size and have no frontage on a municipal road. The lands currently contain the septic system and the tile bed for 5102 Highway 3, as well as an existing accessory structure. There are no proposed structures to be built on the subject lands, only existing structures remained. The lands are part of a 45-acre parcel of land that's just a naturalized area. So the surrounding land uses are agricultural and rural residential in nature. The OP permits consents to sever land for technical reasons, including minor boundary adjustments. So subject application results in the expansion of an existing lot in order to ensure all required servicing is adjusted onto the lot that it currently serves. Subject application will not adversely affect the agricultural parcel that is being boundary adjusted from. The lands are designated and zoned for agricultural use. Single detached dwellings and associated accessory structures are permitted in the agricultural zone, and the subject application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms to the OP consent policies. Staff recommend that this application be approved subject to the attached conditions.
Okay, thanks. Does the committee have any questions for the planner? Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? Any comments that the applicant would like to make? No? Okay. Any further comments from the committee? What are the wishes of the committee? Dennis?
Move for approval.
Seconder? Adam? So file number BNPL 2019339 in the name of Diane Kelly and Brian Culp, sorry. This application is consistent with the provincial policy statement 2014 and conforms to consent policies of the Norfolk County official plan, and that no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All those in favor? That's carried. And next up is file number ANPL 2019363, Larry and Carol Lounsbury. Are the applicants or an agent in attendance? Okay, Tom. Would the planner give the report?
So this is a minor variance application to permit a deficiency created through consent application BNPL 2019-291 in the former geographic township of South Walsingham. So basically this application requires relief for maximum permitted usable floor area of an accessory structure. So we're looking for relief for 225.1 square meters. Subject lands currently contain a single detached dwelling and the existing accessory structure. The subject lands are zoned and designated in the OP as agricultural. The proposed requested relief is considered appropriate in this instance. The required relief from applicable zoning bylaw provisions is considered minor in nature and no public opposition has been received. Staff recommend that this application be approved.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the planner? Is there anyone present that wishes to speak in favor or in general to the application? Are there any other comments that you can make, Tom? Okay, great. Any comments any questions from the committee members? No? What are the wishes of the committee? Rudy? Marcel? Okay, that application ANPL 2019363 in the name of Larry and Carol Lounsbury In accordance with Section 45.1 of the Planning Act, the development and requested relief is considered appropriate, minor in nature, and it maintains the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and that no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All those in favor? That's carried. Yep. Next up is file number BNPL 2019351, names James and Doreen Hill. And would the planner give the report?
This is an application by the Hills to sever a dwelling considered surplus to a farm operation. It's located on part of Lot 21, Concession 10, former township of Windham. The application is recommended for approval, subject to the conditions attached to the planning report. One of the things that came up as a result of the circulation was, again, the building department and the separation distance between existing buildings and the proposed lot line. And we're recommending that the application be approved, and the applicant in the report was notified that any changes to the building would have to meet the Ontario Building Code requirements and the separation distance with respect to the property boundary.
Okay. Does the committee have any questions of the planner? Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? Dave? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this application? No? Any other comments from the committee? Is there a motion from the committee? Marcel? Seconder? Dennis? Okay, that file number BNPL 2019351 in the names of James and Doreen Hill. The subject application is consistent with Provincial Policy Statement 2014 and conforms to the intent of the Norfolk County Official Plan regarding the severance of a dwelling made surplus through a farm amalgamation, and no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All those in favor? And that's carried. Next up is file number BNPL 2019352, Frank and Shirley Evans. Is the applicant or agent in attendance? Okay, Dave, thanks. Would the planner give the report?
This application is made by Frank and Shirley Evans for severance of a surplus farmhouse located on part of Lot 21, Concession 11 in the former township of North Walsingham. The site is occupied by a dwelling, and the surrounding land use is used for agricultural purposes. There is the application was circulated to the building department, and as a result of the location of the property line with respect to an existing building that's on the property, the Ontario Building Code requirements for the separation distance come into play. Again, this is very similar to the other applications with respect to this. If any changes occur to the building, the applicant has to notify the building department, and they have to meet the requirements of the building code with respect to the separation distance.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the planner? Would the applicant like to provide any additional information? Okay, Dave, thanks. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to the application? Any further comments from the committee members? No? Is there a motion from the committee? Seconded by Adam. That file number BNPL 2019352, Frank and Shirley Evans. The subject application is consistent with the Provincial Policy Statement 2014 and conforms with the intent of the Norfolk County official plan regarding the severance of a dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation, and that no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, file number BNPL 201-9367, B&L DeCloet Farms Limited. Is the applicant, oh, okay. And the planner give the report, please.
So this is an application for a dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation in the former geographic township of North Walsingham. Subject lands are 0.7 acres in size and fronts onto the south side of 12 Concession Road. Lands currently contain a single detached dwelling and an existing accessory structure. And the lands are part of a larger 59-acre farm parcel. Surrounding land uses are agricultural and rural residential in nature. The OP permits consents to sever lands for currently habitable farm dwellings that are surplus to a farming operation as a result of consolidation of farm properties. So all this results in the creation of one lot and the retention of one lot. So the subject application will not adversely affect the viability or operation of the farm on the retained lands. Lands are designated and zoned for agricultural uses, which permits single detached dwellings and accessory structures. A condition of the severance will be to rezone the retained land so that a single detached dwelling be removed as a permitted use. And similar to the two previous surplus farm dwelling severances, there will be an agreement that has to be entered into as a condition regarding spatial separation. So if they change the building in any way, that they'll need to satisfy the spatial separation conditions of the Ontario Building Code. So that being said, the subject application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms to the official plan consent policies. Staff recommend that this application be approved subject to the attached conditions.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the planner? Would the applicant or agent like to provide any further details? No? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? Are there any additional comments that, okay, that nothing. Is there any further comments from the committee members? Is there a motion from the committee? Dennis? To approve? Seconded by Marcel. So that file number BNPL 201-9367, B&L DeCloet Farms. The subject application is consistent with the provincial policy statement 2014 and conforms to the intent of the Norfolk County official plan regarding the severance of a dwelling made surplus through a farm amalgamation, and that no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All those in favor? That's carried. Should I be signing twice? Just, okay, all right. So next up is file number BNPL 201-9368, Fancy Pack Brand Incorporated. The planner give the report.
So this is an application for a dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation in the former geographic township of Windham. Subject lands are 0.5 acres in size and fronts onto the north side of Highway 3. Lands currently contain an existing detached dwelling and are part of a larger 107-acre farm operation. Surrounding land uses in the area are generally agricultural or rural residential in nature. The OP permits consents to sever land for currently habitable farm dwellings that are made surplus to the farming operation through consolidation of farm properties. So this results in the creation of one lot, the retention of one lot, and the subject application does not adversely affect the ongoing farming operation on the property. Lands are designated and zoned for agricultural use, which permits single detached dwellings and any associated accessory structures. A condition of the severance will be to rezone the retained lands so that a single detached dwelling be removed as a permitted use. Similar to the previous file and the one before that, an agreement will be entered into regarding the spatial separation condition. So anytime one of those buildings gets changed in the future, they'll have to satisfy the spatial separation conditions from the Ontario Building Code. That being said, the subject application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms to the official plan consent policies. Staff recommend that this application be approved, subject to the attached conditions.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant agent in attendance? You again, okay. Does the committee have any questions for the planner? Actually, I had one when I saw this. The driveway to the farm. So the driveway to the residence is there. Where does the farm get service from now that this is severed?
Through the chair, I'll defer that question to the agent.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Any other questions from the committee to the planner? Nope. And do you have anything else to add to the? Okay. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak to the application? Any further comments from the committee members? Is there a motion from the committee? Seconder? Adam? Okay, so the file number BNPL 2019368, Fancy Pack Brands Incorporated. The subject application is consistent with Provincial Policy Statement 2014 and conforms to the intent of the Norfolk County official plan regarding the severance of a dwelling made surplus through a farm amalgamation, that no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay. Next up is file number BNPL 2019369, Fancy Pack Brand Incorporated again. Will the planner give the report?
So this is a severance of a dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation in the former geographic township of Middleton. Subject lands are 3,225 square meters or 0.8 acres in size and fronts onto the north side of Wyndham Road 20. Lands currently contain a single detached dwelling and an existing accessory structure and are part of a larger 108-acre farm operation. Surrounding land uses are agricultural and rural residential in nature. Similar to the previous one, the OP permits consents to sever land for currently habitable farm dwellings that are made surplus to a farming operation through farm consolidation. So this results in the creation of one lot, retention of one lot, and will not adversely affect the ongoing farm operation on the retained lands. So the lands are designated and zoned for agricultural use, which permits single detached dwellings and any accessory structures. A condition of the severance will be to rezone the retained lands so that a single detached dwelling be removed as a permitted use. Along with the previous application, an agreement will be entered into regarding the spatial separation of the buildings on the retained lands. So the subject application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms to the official plan consent policies. Staff recommend that this application be approved, subject to the attached conditions.
Okay, thank you. Is the agent in attendance? The Shures too? Okay. Does the committee have any questions of the planner? Is there anything that you'd like to add? Can you come to just come to the mic? No, it's not. There you go.
Okay, just had a question with respect to the minor variance. And the minor variance would be for,
Through the chair, that should not be a condition on that report. So if that's on the decision, you can remove that.
So the minor variance should be stricken?
Yeah.
Number 4,
Could you read it to me?
a minor variance application will be required to be submitted in order to provide relief from section 12.1.2B 1, or .2B1I of the
Oh.
Norfolk County zoning bylaw.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
that condition should be removed?
No, that should remain. My apologies.
Okay.
30 meters is the required frontage. So, my apologies. That should
Okay.
remain on there. The frontage of the lot is deficient in size.
Okay, now I've got it, thanks.
Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? Is there any other comments from the committee members? Is there a motion from the committee? Dennis? Seconder? Adam? So that file number BNPL 201-9369, Fancy Pack Brand Incorporated, the subject application is consistent with the Provincial Policy Statement 2014, conforms to the Norfolk County official plan regarding the severance of a dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation, that no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, next up is file number BNPL 201-9370, Fancy Pack Brand again, 2293 Forestry Farm Road. And the planner can give the report.
So this is a severance of a dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation in the former geographic township of North Walsingham. Subject lands are .73 acres in size and fronts onto the west side of Forestry Farm Road. Lands currently contain a single detached dwelling and are part of a larger 122-acre farm operation. Surrounding land uses in the immediate area are agricultural and rural residential in nature. OP permits consents to sever land for currently habitable farm dwellings that are made surplus to a farming operation through farm consolidation. So this results in the creation of one lot, retention of one lot, and the subject lands will not adversely affect the ongoing farm operation or its viability. The lands are designated and zoned for agricultural use, which permits single detached dwellings and any accessory structures. A condition of the severance will be to rezone the retained lands to prohibit the construction of a single detached dwelling. With that will be another agreement that will be entered into regarding spatial separation as per the last several, same sort of deal. Condition on there to, if you change the building, you need to satisfy spatial separation conditions found in the Ontario Building Code. Subject application is consistent with provincial policy statement and conforms to the official plan consent policies. So staff recommend that this application be approved, subject to the attached conditions.
Okay, thank you. And the agent is still in the house. Are there any questions of the committee, the planner? Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? Do you have anything to add, sir? No? You're good, okay. Are there any further comments of the committee members? Is there a motion from the committee? Marcel, to approve? Seconder? Rudy? So that file number BNPL 201-9370, Fancy Pack Brand Incorporated. The subject application is consistent with the Provincial Policy Statement 2014 and conforms to the intent of the Norfolk County official plan regarding the severance of a dwelling made surplus through farm amalgamation, and that no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All those in favor? And that's carried. So next up is file number BNPL 201-9348, Thomas Featherstone at 217 Mechanic Street, Waterford. And would the planner give the report?
Yeah, so this is a severance application to create a new residential building lot in the urban residential area of Waterford. Subject lands are 1,078 square meters in size, or just under 0.3 acres in size, and fronts onto the north side of Mechanic Street West. The lands are currently vacant, and surrounding land uses are residential in nature, with single detached dwellings abutting on all three sides. The official plan allows for and promotes infilling of existing areas, not extending existing development and development that does not compromise the long-term use of the retained parcel. The lands are designated urban residential and zoned R1A. The proposed subject lands are sufficiently large enough to accommodate the permitted dwelling type. The subject application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms to the official plan consent policies. Staff recommend that this application be approved, subject to the attached conditions.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant or agent in attendance? Okay. Does the committee have any questions of the planner? Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to the application? Would the agent or applicant have anything to add? No? Good, okay. Is there any further comments from the committee members? Is there a motion from the committee? Adam? Seconder? Dennis? That file number BNPL 201-9348, Thomas Featherstone at 217 Mechanic Street, Waterford. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement 2014 and conforms to the consent policies of the Norfolk County official plan, and that no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All those in favor? And that's carried. And next up is application number ANPL 201-9357, Jeffrey McAlone and Kim Carols McAlone. Not bad. McAlone, okay. At 47 Woodstock Avenue, Long Point. The planner gives a report.
This is an application for relief of the provisions of the resort residential RR zone to permit the construction of an accessory building and a small addition to the rear and to the front of an existing cottage. The application is required relief of lot coverage, accessory building height, and the usable floor area of an accessory building and the front yard requirement. The site is occupied by the dwelling and an accessory building that will be removed and replaced with a newer building. The variances are considered minor in nature and are recommended for approval.
Okay. Does the committee have any questions of the planner? Dennis?
Just to draw the attention to everyone that we received this memorandum on our desk prior to the meeting
Okay.
with three concerns.
Yes. Michael, do you have any comments on those at all?
With respect to the concerns, they're requesting, or they're asking about the grading and drainage. When they apply for a building permit the only thing that actually is going to affect the grading and drainage is the new accessory building. And when they apply for a building permit, they will be required to supply a grading and drainage plan, and no water from the applicant's lot can go on to the next door neighbors. With the Sandpoint well, I believe that the building is well removed from the Sandpoint well, and the construction time frame is basically up to the applicant on when he's going to construct. And we're not aware of that.
All right. Okay. Thanks. Would the applicant like to provide any further information? No? You good? Okay. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? Are there any further comments from the committee members? Is there a motion from the committee? Marcel? Seconded by Rudy. That file number ANPL 201-9357 in the name of Jeffrey McAlone and Kim Carol's McAlone, in accordance with Section 45.1 of the Planning Act, and development is requested relief of considered appropriate development, minor in nature, and it maintains the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and that no public input, some public input was received and was considered as part of this application. All those in favor? That's carried. And I'll just make a note here that I'll just cross that out. And was. Is that good? Okay. And I guess I sign it. Okay. So next up is file number BNPL 201-9366, Peter and Linda Vanderhayden, 609 St. George Street, Port Dover. And would the planner give the report?
This application is an application to sever a lot in Port Dover. The lot is considered infilling, and the surrounding land uses are all residential, and residential uses are permitted. It should be noted that there is a interim control bylaw in Port Dover right now that basically restricts development with respect to connecting to municipal water and municipal water services. The applicant was made aware of that, and the application is recommended for approval, but a building permit will not be available until such time as the interim control bylaw has been lifted and the water filtration plant has the capacity in order to service the lot. So the application can be approved. However, no building permit can be issued for a dwelling.
Okay, thanks. Is the applicant or agent in attendance? Okay. Does the committee have any questions for the planner?
Yeah,
Dennis?
when we look at the conditions, cash in lieu of parkland particularly, is that payable when they get the building permit, or is that payable in advance?
Through the chair, it's payable at the time of the building permit.
Okay.
Oh, it does?
So prior to the building permit? So my question would be, if this is approved, how long is this application in force for? 1 year?
They have 1 year to fulfill the conditions. Once the conditions have been fulfilled, the severance is done.
So that, my question would be about the building permit. Since they can't get a building permit for who knows how long at this point, if they meet all the conditions, this will remain in effect for basically forever until they get a building permit.
Correct.
Okay. So they have time, they just make meet the conditions between now and the building permit time, and
They have 1
whenever
year,
they get a building permit.
yeah, they have 1 year to meet the conditions,
Yeah,
and then whenever the building permit is allowable, then they can move forward.
right, okay, all right, so I'm clear too. Is there anyone that wishes to speak to the application? Do you have anything to add to the, okay, you're clear on how this, in Port Dover, in beautiful Port Dover, okay, so you're clear on that, okay. Can you come to the mic?
The payment that's due prior to the building permit stage was in regards to what?
This was to do with the park,
Yes, sir, it's with regard to parkland dedication.
parkland dedication.
Okay.
It's cash in lieu of parkland dedication.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. So is there anyone that wishes to speak to the application? No? And you have nothing further to add? And the committee has anything further to add? Is there a motion from the committee? Adam? Second by Dennis. That file number BNPL 201-9366, Peter and Linda Van de Hayden. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement 2014 and conforms to the consent policies of the Norfolk County Official Plan, and that no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All those in favor? That's carried. So next up is application ANPL 201-9360, Powell Bradley. 1773 Concession 10, Townsend, Waterford. Would the planner give the report?
This application is for relief of the provisions of the zoning bylaw to seek relief of the height provisions for an accessory building. Property is located on part of Lot 23, Concession 9 in Townsend. Site is occupied by a dwelling and an accessory building that will be removed to make way for the new building. The surrounding area is mainly agricultural uses. The application is considered minor in nature and recommended for approval.
Okay, is the applicant or agent in attendance? Okay. Does the committee have any questions of the planner? Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to the application? Do you guys have anything to add? No? Okay, good. Any further comments from the committee members? Is there a motion from the committee? Rudy? Seconder? Marcel? That application ANPL 201-9360 in the name of Powell Bradley, 1773 Concession 10 Townsend, Concession 10 of Townsend and Waterford. In accordance with Section 45.1 of the Planning Act, the proposed development as requested relief is considered appropriate development, minor in nature, and maintains the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and that no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All those in favor? That's carried. Yep, not so fast. Not so fast. This pile's going through fast. We're rocking. So next up is file number ANPL 201-9372 in the name of Michael Solik, 1305 Wyndham Road 3, Vanessa. Can the planner give the report?
So this is a minor variance application to construct an accessory structure requiring relief from zoning bylaw provisions to allow a maximum usable floor area of 297 square meters and a maximum building height of 7.1 meters. The subject lands are 39 acres in size and fronts onto the north side of Wyndham Road 3 in the geographic township of Wyndham. The lands currently contain a single detached dwelling. The subject lands are primarily a managed forest and is immediately adjacent to a viable farm operation and a woodlot. Proposed development is considered appropriate as an accessory to a residential use as permitted in the agricultural zone. The requested relief from applicable zone bylaw provisions is considered minor in nature and no public opposition to the application was received. Staff recommend that this application be approved.
Okay, thanks. Is the applicant or agent in attendance? Okay. Does the committee have any questions of the planner? Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? Anything you want to add? No? Okay, good. Any other comments from the committee members? Is there a motion? Adam. Seconder? Marcel? That file number ANPL 2019372 in the name of Michael Solick. Pretty good? All right. In accordance with Section 45.1 of the Planning Act, the development of requested relief is considered appropriate development and minor in nature and maintains the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All those in favor? That's carried. File number ANPL 2019373, Jerry and Kathy Drinkwater, Water Street, Port Dover. Can you give the report, planner?
This is an application to seek relief of the provisions of the R1B zone to allow for a larger building envelope on an existing lot in Port Dover. Property is located at the corner of Grace Street and Water Street and is Part 4 of the Plan 37R 11029. Site is presently vacant and the surrounding land uses are residential. The application is considered minor in nature and is recommended for approval. However, being in Port Dover, there is the interim control bylaw regarding the water system, and no building permit will be available until such time as the water situation has been rectified and capacity is available for the property.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant or agent in attendance? Okay, thanks. And does the committee have any questions of the planner? Dennis?
There are no conditions attached to this application. And looking at the layout, I don't see an existing driveway anywhere. So there is one? Okay. And I can assume that the parkland fee has been paid on the lot previously? Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. Anybody else? Nope. Does the applicant like to add anything?
We just wish to clarify that once this is approved, if it is approved, that it would stay, because we have no idea when building will
Neither
move
do I.
on, so. Maybe it never will, yeah.
Michael?
If the variance is granted, it stays with the lot.
Okay.
Any owner that comes onto it still stays with the property.
That's all we want to confirm.
Okay.
Thank you so
So
much.
there's no time frame.
Thank you.
Right, okay. There's no time frame for water in Port Dover either, so sorry about that. Is there anyone that has anyone that'd like to speak to this application? No? Any additional comments? Okay. Any comments from the committee members? Is there a motion from the committee? Adam. Seconded by Rudy. So file number ANPL 2019373 in the name of Gerald and Kathy Drinkwater. In accordance with Section 45.1 of the Planning Act, the development and requested relief is considered appropriate development, minor in nature, and maintains the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and that no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All those in favor? And that's carried. It's approved. There you go. And lastly, last application for this year is file number ANPL 2019377, Stephen Moore, at the address of 372 Cedar Drive, Turkey Point. And would the planner give the report, please?
This is an application for minor variance from the provisions of the resort residential zone in Turkey Point to allow for a second story to be placed on an existing boathouse. The main issue here with this application is the building height. The property is located on lot 56 of Plan 546 with a civic address of 372 Cedar Drive in Turkey Point. The application is recommended for deferral to allow the applicant to review the proposed height of the building. In planning staff's opinion, the height of the variance is more than minor in nature. It should be noted that there is a bylaw amendment proposed to go in front of council that will allow for an amendment to the height provisions to allow for a 7-meter building to be placed in the resort residential area. However, that bylaw has not been passed. After a site inspection, we have noted that there are some large, tall boathouses in the area, but I don't think any of them come to as close to the height that is proposed in this bylaw, which is 8.5 meters, which is approximately 28 feet. In any event, we're recommending deferral to allow for the applicant to review the height and perhaps talk to his designer to lower it a little bit. At least with a deferral, the decision is not made and the application isn't lost. It comes back to have another look at it. Okay.
Okay. Does the applicant have anything to say?
Thank you. I took the feedback that I was given on the variance and the height, and I went around and compared to some of the other buildings. I took some photographs. I don't know if that's helpful for you or not, and I did some measuring of some of the buildings, and there are some that are in excess of that height, and there are some that are very close to it. So I would ask you to consider that as well. I brought the photographs if you would like to see them, if that's helpful.
Where are these other boathouses in relation to your project?
One is on 400 Cedar. I'm on 372.
Okay.
There is one, and the homes that are around it, my house or cottage, the cottage to my left, which is 370, and the new cottage that's going in on to my right, which is 374.
Okay.
All exceed the height of what I'm asking to do with the boathouse. So the boathouse, by its structure, is not going to be the tallest building on the street by far. There's a new one going in down at 400 Cedar, which is going to exceed it by a great deal.
Is that the one at the very end?
Correct.
Right. Okay. I remember going there before.
And that boathouse, if I could indulge you, is, depending on which peak you pick, from a height standpoint, is the lower peak is 7.8 meters, the highest peak is 9.1 meters.
And you're at 8.5.
That's what I'm asking for, yes.
Okay. Any comments, Mike? No?
Still recommending deferral to allow you to just have a look at it.
Okay. Dennis?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And just to clarify, this committee in the past recognized that the height restrictions had been lowered from what they were previously. We recommended that they put back to the normal, to what they were before. So just to clarify with staff that the zoning bylaw amendment was passed and that it was not passed?
Through the chair, that zoning bylaw amendment was deferred at public information hearing on December 10th.
And is there a date for it to come back?
It will come back to the January public information hearing where council can decide to defer it or accept it to push it through to council vote.
Okay, and,
If I just interrupt, I think it got deferred because of time. So there was no real reason, it was just time constraints on council.
yeah, I knew their calendar was full.
No, it was
Um,
the time of the meeting, it was running late.
So, and the recommendation is to put it to 7 meters? So what we would be talking about is 1.5 meters difference, which in the past, we've had no trouble with any
Right.
those minor variances. So I just raised that point.
Okay.
In response to Mr. Trevali's concerns, sort of recognizing that we used to do 1.5 meters. We used to do 1.5 meters from the 5 meters, right? So we brought this bylaw amendment to council to permit it to go back up to 7 meters, where we would be permitting 1.5 meters from 5 meters. Going to be a little bit tighter on, what we're going to recommend and what we're going to support, and going above and beyond now that we've introduced this new bylaw to cut down the amount of minor variances that we're going to see regarding height of accessory structures. And if I might make another comment, the intention is to keep boathouses and accessory structures as accessory to a residential use. So if the building beside or the home is taller than the boathouse, it should be, because these are accessory structures.
Right, okay. Adam?
Well, we've run into this before where people ask, like, what is minor and what isn't minor, and how do we determine that? And I wanted to ask just a general question as a reminder for the committee and for everybody as sort of present, how you come to these determinations of what is and isn't minor. Please, just for my own sake, and I'm sure other people have the same question.
It's a very difficult question to answer.
No, it's easy to ask, Michael.
You're right. Because what's considered minor, in my opinion, may not be considered minor in yours. And a lot of times what they do is they look at the numerical part. But you not only have to look at the numerical part, but you have to look at the character of the area that you're in, that you're looking at, and how it reflects on the rest of the neighborhood. If in the event you have a situation where you have a bunch of one-story houses and then all of a sudden you have a two-story house, is that within the character of the area? Is that considered minor? In my opinion, it wouldn't be considered minor. In my opinion, it wouldn't be in consideration with the character of the area. When you're talking about going from 5 meters to 8.5 meters, or even perhaps 7 meters to 8.5 meters, does that mean that the next guy comes along after you guys have changed it, or after county has changed it to 7 meters, does everybody think, oh, it's minor to go another 1.5 meters, so everybody's going to be at 8? So why don't we just change the bylaw to 8? That will be the next thing. So it's the thin edge of the wedge, or it could be just considered opening the door for further applications where you're trying to close the door to prevent more applications. So again, to answer your question, it's a very hard answer.
Yep, no, thank you very much. I appreciate the clarification. I don't know if I want to say clarification, but you know what I mean, the extra information, let's say.
I think the intent of our asking that the bylaw be increased to 7 was to streamline the process, to reduce the number of applications. I'm sure that we're always going to get proposals or applications that are going to be over and above no matter what the limit is. If we made the limit 8.5 meters, somebody's going to come along and ask for 9.5 or 10 eventually. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. I guess my question to the applicant is, can you work within the 7 that's proposed, or like if there's a recommendation of a deferral, would you prefer a deferral, or would you prefer for us to proceed as we are now?
Well, I guess I'd prefer that you proceeded if it was in agreement with what I've asked for in the variance. I know I'm not trying to be smart when I say that. I'd like to offer a comment if I could, because you brought up an interesting point about, is the structure going to be within the character of the environment that it's in?
Mm-hmm.
And were you the individual that went to my place and took the pictures?
We both did.
Okay. Did you not think that within the character of that neighborhood, where there are a lot of very large homes and more large homes going up, that a boathouse of that size is it's going to fit within the character. I think what we're seeing in my neighborhood is any one-story home, which was the one that was adjacent to me, has now been demolished, and a two-story home has been put in, is being in the process of being put in. There was a one-story home at the end of the street, now has been replaced with a very large home and a very large boathouse, which also is, I think, within the character of what the street has become. I would just ask respectfully that for you to comment on that if you could.
I think as Colin had mentioned, when you're looking at houses versus accessory buildings, the accessory building should be the secondary use on the property, not the main use. And making one larger than the other, or making one similar to the other, is, again, going against the character of the area, because when I looked down the canal from the side road, and I looked down the canal and I saw where your property was versus even the one at the very end, you put that boathouse there, it is not in character with what's existing. And that's basically, it's not a character with what is existing as boathouses, not so much as houses.
Well, I think if you take a look across the street, there is one almost adjacent to mine that's put up virtually exactly what I'm asking to put up. And, obviously that was approved. It's an existing structure now. So I think there's like a gentrification going on in the neighborhood. Everything that is old, you can see the picture of that boathouse. It does not match my home. My home was built in the mid-2000s. That was probably built in the 1970s. And so it currently does not match or fit with the character of the neighborhood.
As I mentioned before, variances are opinions, and my opinion may vary from yours. And I recommend a deferral to allow you to rethink the situation. If in the event the committee goes along with your thinking, that's fine. If they go along with mine, with a deferral, then we can discuss it further and see if there's some way that we can come to a compromise of some sort.
So that's my question, actually, through the chair to Michael is, okay, so you're recommending deferral, good, and we agree, hypothetically, we agree to a deferral, and you want to speak to the applicant, and if Mr. Moore comes back again next meeting and says, no, I really want this 8.5, are we still are you going to, would the recommendation then be to not approve? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, I'm just wondering, I guess what I'm getting at is, where are we headed here? Because if it's just going to be, well, we'd like Mr. Moore to reconsider, he chooses to not reconsider, are we back in the same situation next month or 2 months or whatever?
You could be, yes.
And at that time, would the recommendation be to then just not approve it?
That's possible, yes.
Okay, and I know that you can't predict the future, but that's where we're headed, is maybe nothing, but maybe to not approve at all.
But the reason, through the chair, the reason I suggested deferral was to have this conversation.
Right, of course.
And it would be up to the committee to decide whether, you could even look at it as a variance from 7 to 8.5, because 7 is on the horizon as the minimum, or as the maximum building height as it is right now.
Okay,
But if I'm looking at, as it is right now, from 5 to 8.5, that's
Yeah.
not minor.
Okay, fair enough, thank you.
Dennis? No, you were up first. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
What do we have in front of us at the current time? Council has not passed the bylaw.
Correct.
So we're talking about 5 meters to 8.5 meters.
Yeah, the new height is not there.
No, exactly. So we have to deal with what we have in front of us.
Right.
And I think it'd be wise to look at the recommendation of staff by the applicant simply because 3.5 meters is, in my opinion, way beyond the minor variance.
Right. Marcel? Just turn your mic on, Marcel.
I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that. It's flatter than what's proposed. I mean, it has less pitch, if that's, I can't give you an angle, but it has less pitch than what would be proposed. No, maybe I'm saying it the wrong way. The new roof is more pointed than less pointed. Okay, thank you.
Just, I can't make the motion either way, but I can just see that the precedent is starting to be set for Cedar Drive, that, you know, you're applying at 8 meters or 8.5 meters. We have a proposed bylaw in front of council in the next little while. I'd like to see council do their work, and then we can go from there.
Okay. I'm here.
Okay.
You know, I'm listening to whatever you tell me.
So, that being said,
May I ask a
Rudy?
question before you rule?
Yes, go ahead.
Can I understand how the boathouse that's attached on 400 Cedar was approved then? If you won't approve mine and it's of a similar size or height? Let me stand corrected.
Colin?
I have a question through the chair. Is it attached to the dwelling?
It is in fact attached to the dwelling.
So then it becomes part of the dwelling, and it is not an accessory use to a residential use, and it is not subject to the same zoning provisions.
Okay, that's some learning. There are,
Yeah, if I can make another recommendation, if you really want the 8.5 meters, I recommend you submit a zoning bylaw amendment, and that is a more comprehensive application that goes before council. That might be something, if you really want this 8.5 and you feel passionate about it, that would be a good avenue for you to take.
Rudy, did you have something? Okay.
Well,
Dennis?
this is exactly what I was going to talk to, Mr. Chairman. And what we have is a staff recommendation to defer. We can overrule that and outright reject it,
Right.
or accept it. Or the other option is, given that the variance is as extreme as it is, we could say, take it to council because it is a zoning bylaw amendment rather
Right.
than a minor variance.
Okay. Anybody, Rudy?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with quite a bit of what's been said here, but if I'm on council and I know I've got this amendment coming in for 7 meters and all of a sudden we approve one for 8.5, if I'm on council, I'm thinking, well, I mean, we just went to 7 from 5 is what's happening with 8.5. So I would certainly support a deferral at this time. Two options, I guess, now. You could either defer it or refuse it outright, but I think a deferral massages it for now.
Okay. Anybody else?
may I ask one more question?
Sure.
Was there any other public input?
Does not appear,
I'd like to know it if there was.
does not appear to have any public input whatsoever, no?
Thank you.
So obviously, there's nobody here to speak to the application, other than yourself. Do you have any further comments to make?
No, I think you're being gracious in the sense that you're giving me a deferral so that I don't have to swallow the application fee. Is that
Right.
and
Yeah.
asking me to reconsider.
I think
and
that's the best option right now. So if there's nothing else from the committee members, is there a motion? For deferral? Rudy and Marcel?
When would the next meeting be? Do you have any idea? Okay. Do you know the date? I just don't live locally. It's a,
And the other part of that, if I might, Mr. Chairman, is that if council in its wisdom does approve the amendment to the zoning bylaw, then there's a 20-day appeal process beyond that. And council's meeting on the 14th of January, so then there's 20-day appeal. So the bylaw would not take effect until that appeal period is done.
Which would still be before our next February meeting. So just before we vote, if you decide, I guess, in the meantime, to rework your plan a little bit as far as the height, and you aim for a target of 7, and council approves it, then you're golden, I believe, of my... Okay.
There's still a floor area requirement with respect to the accessory building.
Okay, all right. So that being said, so we have a motion in front of us for deferral.
may I
and
just
it's-
understand the floor area comment more thoroughly, please?
The zoning bylaw only allows you a certain amount of usable floor area, and that's 56 square meters. You're proposing 129. Now, that's all the floor area, it's gross. So you still require, if you keep the size of the interior of the building the same, and you just lower the pitch, then you're talking no variance to the height, or a very small variance to the height, but you still have to require a variance to the usable floor area. We're not objecting to that, it's just the height.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to understand, if I needed to do something, or you could explain something further on that, so. Thank you for your time. Yeah, briefly on the phone, I did, yes. No, when I spoke to someone, they were not indicating that I would probably be at this outcome, was the advice I got, so.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I understand. He actually said, you don't need me. Yeah. No, I understand, that's what, yeah. No, I appreciate any and all help is welcome.
Okay, so we have a motion for deferral in front of us, and it's moved by Rudy and seconded by Marcel, and all those in favor. And that's carried. And we got to get the deferral stamp out.